Next on Worcester News Tonight, stepping down. Worcester Superintendent of Schools resigns to take another job. And Patriots President Jonathan Kraft makes a stop in the city where he spent time growing up. Good evening, thanks for joining us. I'm Tim McCone. President of the four-time Super Bowl champion New England Patriots, Jonathan Kraft, was in the city today. Kraft talked some football and touched on the hot start by New England. The defending champs are 3-0 on the season, and already some fans are having flashbacks to 2007 and are thinking undefeated season.
I don't know whether this year is going to be like '07, but what I do know is a lot of guys on our team, you come off the Super Bowl, the reason no one's repeated since we have in '03, '04 is because it's a really long off season and maybe people get a little happy and you need an edge when you play. We might have an edge, so that's good.
Kraft, of course, making light of Deflategate there. He was in the city for the 30th annual meeting of the Worcester Research Bureau. Kraft is also the president of the Kraft Group, which has a number of business interests, including Rand Whitney, which is headquartered right here in the city. Kraft was the featured speaker for the event and also discussed how he believes Worcester is on the upswing in part because of organizations like the Research Bureau.
I look at the Gateway project over here by WPI, and we bought some land and a building over there right before the Gateway project came to be. So I have a perspective on what that part of town was like prior and what it's like now. It's night and day. And that's informed by the WRRB and executed by our elected officials and helps bring vibrant economic activity.
After his speech, Kraft was awarded a key to the city by Mayor Joseph Petty. Our other top story today, Worcester Superintendent Dr. Melinda Boone is leaving to take over the school district in Norfolk, Virginia. Her resignation comes after months of public scrutiny and disagreement with some school committee members over her handling of violence in schools as well as other district policies. Recent Worcester Tech graduate and school committee candidate Cody Collins has been outspoken in his criticism of Boone, even starting a petition online seeking her resignation.
I would rather see someone who is able to work with the school committee, who is able to work with the teachers and listen to the teachers and listen to the parents. And Dr. Boone hasn't demonstrated that at all. And I hope the new superintendent, whoever that may be, will demonstrate that kind of leadership.
While there is plenty of reaction from the community on Dr. Boone's resignation, our Olivia Lemon has that part of the story.
She seems to be fighting for Worcester and the Worcester public schools and everything. Now she just seems to be like jumping ship.
I'm surprised. I mean, she's been a great asset to the school.
Parents react after hearing Worcester Superintendent Dr. Melinda Boone is resigning. Boone led the public schools for 6 years.
After everything she's been through and everything she's tried to do, and the scrutiny she's taken as far as the MCAS system and the MCAS test, and now it seems like a drastic move all at once.
She and I disagree about the role of standardized test scores and how exactly that plays into how we evaluate things.
School committee member Tracy O'Connell-Novick says she didn't agree with Dr. Boone on everything, but says there have been many positive changes.
I think that if you look at what has happened in Worcester over the last couple of years, that's really something that speaks for itself in terms of things like the graduation rates, huge jump, dropout rate going down.
I think she did a good job. She was very professional in everything that she did. She certainly moved the system forward.
Boone is leaving Worcester to move back to Norfolk, Virginia, where she will become superintendent of their public school system.
I want to certainly take my time and as we move forward, when we select the next superintendent, to make sure it's a good fit for Worcester.
The most important vote a school committee member makes is on the superintendent. And from there, you entrust them to be managers. You entrust them to be connected to the community.
School committee members will now look to appoint an interim superintendent for the remainder of the school year and then start a national public search for a new superintendent.
Good luck to her. Hope she does well there. Wish her well as anything she does.
Good luck. We're going to miss you, and Godspeed.
Olivia Lemon, Worcester News Tonight.
Dr. Boone is expected to start her new job in Virginia on December 1st. Well, just released video shows a Worcester school bus driver falling out of her seat during an accident last month. You can see here the driver is heading straight, and when she takes a sharp left, She falls. The bus crashed into 2 parked cars and almost hit a home. Police cited the driver for not wearing her seatbelt, which is against federal regulation. Warning, it may take a while. The city holds the first in a series of public meetings on master plans for possible dog parks in Worcester. The Department of Public Works and Parks hosted the hearing tonight. Current city ordinance bans dogs, even those on leashes, from any public park in the city. Worcester is looking for input on location, design, and policies for a potential dog park or parks. Establishing a dog park in Worcester is dependent on the city changing the ordinance as well as public funding. Assistant Commissioner Robert Antonelli says a dog park is one of the top requests his office has received over the years.
Really looking at it citywide to come up with an understanding of how many we need, where they should be, where the best location is, and to be able to define it with changes to the ordinance, benchmarking other communities, all as one unit.
Worcester is also looking into other community dog parks as examples. Right now, many dog owners in Worcester use Boynton Park in Paxton to walk their dogs. We now know what caused a major fire in Oxford Wednesday evening. According to the State Fire Marshal's office, a kiln inside a building at Patriot Environmental paired with combustibles sparked the 3-alarm blaze on Old Webster Road. This was the scene around 6 yesterday as flames tore through the building. Fire crews from more than half a dozen area communities responded to help put it out. As of right now, the cause is termed as accidental and charges are not expected against the company. Worcester police on scene this afternoon after a car drives off the road, striking a utility pole. Officers responded to a single car crash on Higgins Street. It happened around 3 o'clock Thursday afternoon. The driver of the car hit a pole and ended up in bushes along the side of the road. The driver was taken to the hospital for treatment. It's unclear the extent of his injuries. You may have already turned on the heat once or twice this fall. The temperatures are starting to get a little cooler at night, but new projections out this week say it should be less expensive to keep your home warm this winter. Our Kayla Mamlak explains.
As temperatures drop, there is a silver lining. According to the U.S. Energy Department, home heating prices are dropping. In Worcester, the savings could be significant.
Our heating oil prices are about 37% lower than they were last year at this time. That's a big savings, and that definitely is extra money in people's pocket.
Kristen Peterson is the vice president of Peterson Oil. She says with prices dipping, consumers can lock in prices for the winter and have a better sense of what their spending will look like. And the price of heating oil is not the only thing that will be dropping. The U.S. Department of Energy predicts that propane users will see a $322 decrease in their winter bills. Natural gas and electricity will see smaller decreases. The Worcester Community Action Council says this is a significant benefit for low-income homes.
I can rattle you a list of 30 names that call me personally on a regular basis that they're out of oil. And it's our lowest income people.
Mary Niddle works with a federally funded program called LIHEAP. It serves around 1,500 low-income families. She says the decrease will help her serve more families who cannot afford heat and for a longer period of time.
While it's going to be less expensive this year than it was last winter, the people who heated with electricity had very, very high bills, and some of them are still paying those bills. So having a little relief this year is helpful.
Kayla Mamlak, Worcester News Tonight.
The Columbus Day weekend is a historically big time for leaf peeping, but it may look a little different this year. Our Patricia Nicholas has the details.
The days are getting cooler and pumpkins are hard to miss. But one thing is missing from this fall season. Local residents say they have noticed a difference.
Around October, I would see a lot of leaves falling down and the color would change, but this year I've seen so many trees that are still fully green.
This fall, the foliage isn't as prevalent as it is during fall seasons in the past. The leaves are significantly more green than normal. Joanne Vieira of the Tower Hill Botanic Garden says the weather is the reason.
It's mostly because we had such a warm early fall, so September temperatures were more like August in some cases.
Foliage happens when the leaves start to die. The green that we see is chlorophyll, which shows growth. But when the weather starts to get cold,
the reds and yellows and oranges then can take center stage. And so that's really why we see that leaf change in the fall. It's pigments that were there all summer long. They just were overshadowed by the green chlorophyll.
Some residents say it doesn't feel like fall without foliage. While Mother Nature is ultimately in charge, Vieira says we can help.
One of the things that we can do, though, to ensure that we get good color set in our landscapes is to make sure that plants go into the autumn in a healthy condition.
Yes, majority of the leaves are still green, but foliage has started to peek out. Lisa Carlin from the Mass Audubon says it's coming sooner than we think.
But we're probably about a week away from a full-blown fall foliage festival in our trees.
Patricia Nicholas, Worcester News Tonight.